Hi, this is Mr. V.
And Miss O'Neill.
Welcome to your new iPad.
This video will go over how to set up your device, highlight a few key school policies, and introduce you to a few apps to be ready for school in September.
If you have already set up your device using the written instructions, feel free to skip ahead to the segment on policies.
Thanks for watching.
This portion of the video will cover how to set up and enroll your new device that you have received from St. Anthony's High School. Please plug in your iPad to a power source prior to following this guide. Be sure to have your Wi-Fi login information ready. Step 1. Press Home to begin. Step 2. Select English. Step 3. Select United States. Step 4. Click Set Up Manually, posted on the bottom of the screen. Step 5. Select your Wi-Fi network. Step 6. Click Next. Step 7. Enter your SAHS student email address, the one that ends in @StAnthony'sHS.org. Step 8. Enter your SAHS student email password. You may be prompted to reset password. You can reuse the same password used for your email account if you prefer. Step 9. Click Enroll this device. Step 10. Please configure your desired passcode options. Step 11. Enter Apple ID info as per the sheet provided at your iPad pickup day. Step 12. Click Enable Location Services. Very important, before turning off your device or disconnecting from your network, be sure that all apps have loaded completely. If you are experiencing difficulties with onboarding your student iPad, please enter the following address into your browser to fill out our online support form. Our tech department will contact you within 2 to 3 school days. In this part of the video, we will be reviewing the main facets of school policy concerning iPads. As you use these devices, please be mindful that they are not for your personal use. These devices are to be used for educational purposes only and are property of St. Anthony's High School. The school retains ownership of the device and any of its content. Students must come to school with their iPad battery at 100%. You must put your device on charge by 11 p.m. each night. Charging of devices will not be available at school. To prevent loss or breakage of the device, students must keep devices secured in their backpacks, hands, or in their school locker. Be extremely mindful when entering the cafeteria or bathroom. In order to independently review video or audio content, students must have their own earbuds for academic use. This is highly recommended for both at home and in school. In the event of breakage, loss, or password issues, you should report to the library. Mrs. Adler and the library staff will be ready to assist you with your problem. High use of this device warrants weekly screen cleaning. Clean the screen with a soft, dry, anti-static cloth or with a screen cleaner designed specifically for LCD type screens only. To prevent scratching, do not use paper towels. Please respect your device as well as others. Students may not lock, deface, or tamper with an iPad belonging to another student. Students may not transmit or post abusive or threatening language through their device. Students may not record, transmit, or post videos or photos of any person without their express permission. For more detailed information, please refer to the iPad protocols and acceptable use policy that you were sent with the iPad acceptance agreement.
This is a brief tutorial to introduce you to some of the key apps that you'll want to familiarize yourself with before the school year begins. Now, to be honest with you, most of these apps are things that you probably have worked with before on your regular computer or on a Chromebook, those being the Google Suite. Obviously, with the fact that most of your information is going to be communicated from your teachers in Google Classroom, that's going to be really important. It's also going to be a place where you're going to be submitting assignments and things like that. Obviously, you have the standard Google Suite options like Google Docs, your word processor, Google Sheets, your spreadsheets, Google Slides, things like PowerPoint slides. Google Drive, again, you should also be familiar with. It's a way of keeping track of all your files. It is very recommended that you take a little time in the summer before the school year begins and organize that drive, meaning maybe make a folder for each class so that as the year goes along and you're working with a file from a class, you can pop it right into that folder, because the more organized your drive is, the more likely it'll be easier for you to be able to find information later when you need to come back to it. If you just put all of your files in one place in your drive, it's going to be very difficult to find things as you go through, especially as the year goes on and you use it more and more. Gmail is obviously going to be where you're going to be accessing your school email, so that's going to be important. And then something that you may not have really utilized in the past, but we would definitely recommend that you start using this going forward, is Google Calendar. What's special about Google Calendar is that once teachers put assignments into Classroom, it automatically will transfer like a notification to Google Calendar, so you'll be able to get a daily, a weekly, even a monthly view of what your assignments are going to be over the course of the school year. So that way you can use that to keep yourself organized and plan out your time and things like that. Now, before I get really into Google Classroom, I want to introduce you to our note-taking app. This is going to be an app that's going to be very important for you to use throughout this school year, and that app is called Notability. You'll see it in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen. It looks blue with a little pencil. And let me just talk about some of the features of Notability before we go forward. Okay, so Notability, again, it's a note-taking app. You're going to be able to take PDFs or pictures and write on them and all kinds of things like that. So maybe one of the things to help yourself, again, stay organized is to create a divider or, a subject divider, something like that. So you can see I have a couple already built in, but maybe I wanted to make one for my history class. I would click that plus on the top left-hand side. I click on subject and I type in, maybe this is now for my history class. And now, and again, not that you need to use these, but at least this is a way of keeping your notes organized in a specific way. It's very recommended that you eventually take your files and put them back on Google Drive, because you have unlimited space on Google Drive, but on your iPad, you don't have unlimited space. But at least maybe on a weekly, or a daily basis, this can help you to keep your files in the right location. Okay, so now let's say I want to start a blank note. Maybe I just want to take some just regular notes in class. Top right hand corner, it looks like a little pencil in a box. I select that option, and now this is a blank note. You'll see it automatically titles itself with the date. You're welcome to change that. So like maybe if this is a lesson on World War II or something to that effect, you can identify it. You can put the date on it if you want. Whatever it happens to be, it's easy for you to be able to add that, obviously. So once I'm now in this, I can easily take notes. I can type notes. If I click on the text box and I select the text box somewhere, I can use my iPad, my keyboard, and I can type whatever I need. Maybe I don't feel like typing. Maybe I want to write my notes instead. The second option in the top left-hand corner is to be able to actually turn this now into writing tool. So now I can take notes. I can write all over them. Maybe I want to highlight specific notes. I can now take that highlighter option and I can actually drag that across any words that I want to save. And I should point out both the pencil option and the highlighter option give you chances to, or give you opportunities to change the size of your font, change the color of your font. You can change your highlighter to be different colors. You can change your highlighter to be different size. It's very customizable to fit what works best for you. Now, obviously, everybody makes mistakes. Let's say you made an error. That fourth icon is your eraser. So once I click on that, I can erase just like normal. I've set it up so what it does is a whole erase, meaning like if I have everything connected, I just need to drag across one part and it'll erase the whole thing. Or you can obviously do partial if you want to only erase things one part at a time. And then obviously, again, you have all of these options to be able to change the size of your eraser. The cut and paste option is if you want to obviously copy and paste something or move something, like maybe these notes I have in the top left-hand corner. Maybe I want to move them. So I'm going to drag a box around them. I'm going to tap them with my pencil. And now if I want to, let's say, cut them and move them somewhere else, I can click cut and I can paste. And now you can see that it moved it to a different location on my screen. So now maybe again, if I wanted to make a little more space for a math answer or put some different notes in a different location, it's very easy to be able to move them around. Okay. So let's say that your teacher has posted information for you on Google Classroom and you've downloaded it. So you want to take notes on a previously written file. So for example, and I'll go over with you in just a second how you download it. But let's say these were notes that your teacher gave to you and you now want to be able to write those notes, write on those notes. So you can see I have a worksheet just like I would normally have in a workbook. And now what I can do is I can literally write right on top of these. So I can write whatever my equation happens to be. Maybe I want to highlight certain parts of a text. Okay, remember again, you can change the size of that highlighter if I want to make it really big. Again, you have all those features that I just pointed out before when you were taking your notes, but now you have them in a previously created PDF, so it'll be very easy for you to take notes. I just want to point out one more thing. Let's say you're somebody that really likes to have lines on your paper, especially when you're doing a blank note. If you look in the top right-hand corner at the 3 dots right underneath the little Wi-Fi symbol, you can select the thing that says paper, and if you go over to the right-hand side, you can see that it actually has built-in graph paper, built-in lines. You can adjust the size of the lines depending on how big your handwriting is. So maybe I want to have something that has like slightly larger lines. And now as I go through, I can then write right on those lines, and I can keep myself nice and organized. So again, what you'll need to do is that every day before you come to school, it's suggested you do it the night before or even at the beginning of the week if your teacher has posted everything for the week, download all your notes into Notability, because that way, no matter what, you have them on your notepad. So how do I actually download my information from Google Classroom? So you should be familiar with the Google Classroom app. It looks like that little app that's like a chalkboard with little people on it. Okay, once I'm actually in Google Classroom, normally you would start on the classes page. You'll select the class that you want to pull information from, and very similar to what you normally saw on the laptop, you have your stream, which is where we have the announcements. You have your classwork page, which is where you're going to find most of your material and your assignments. So for example, let's say that I want to download the course requirement sheet, because that's obviously probably one of the first assignments that you're going to have. I'm going to select the course requirement sheet. I'm going to tap on it, and initially it's just going to show me a preview. What I technically need to do is add this to my drive, and then I can open it in Notability so I can be able to write on it. So to add this to my drive, I'm going to select that little box with the arrow pointing up in the top right-hand corner of my screen. Once I've opened this, now this is now in my Google Drive. If I want to open in Notability so I can use all my Notability stuff, click on those 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, and click Open In. So you'll see a variety of options. I could open it in Drive, I could open it in other things, but what I want to open it in is Notability. So I'm going to select that Notability app, and I'm going to create it as a new note. Again, remember we had talked about setting up subject areas, so maybe I want to put this in my algebra folder, or if I want to change this, I can click it to a different folder, and I click Import. You can also add it to the folder after the fact if you didn't want to do it right then and there. So you'll notice now when I go back to Notability, okay, now I have that Algebra 2 course requirement sheet. I can select it. Remember, again, you can highlight it, you can write on it, whatever you want. And let's say that your teacher now wants you to have this signed and turned back in. It's really nice because there's a lot of linked features between Notability and Google Classroom. So I'm going to go down to the end where I see my name, and I'm going to do my signature, and I'll put the date. And now I want to turn this into my assignment. Now you'll notice on the left-hand side in the top corner, we call this the share arrow because it looks like a share arrow. I'm going to select that option that looks like a box with an arrow pointing up. I can technically email these documents to someone. I can send them right to my Google Drive. Again, as I had mentioned before, when you guys use your Google Drive, you want to make sure that it's nicely organized so that you can easily find whatever you need. Otherwise, it's just going to be a bunch of files in one location and very hard to know what files go with what class. Now, if you click on other apps instead of these ones right here, you will actually have an option to put this right into a Google Classroom assignment. So you don't have to bother with going through Google Drive at this particular point. So you want to keep it in the format of PDF and click Share Note. And you'll see a list of apps come up. Select that Google Classroom app. So now if you look, you're going to see a bunch of your Google Classrooms at the top. You can go, to the right and you can select the class you actually want to work with. The class that I had an assignment for this for was my demo class. And if you notice, it gives you the option to attach to an assignment. So I'm going to click Attach to Assignment, and all of the assignments for that class will pop up. So again, I don't have to go, digging into Google Classroom. It'll come right up. I select Course Requirement Sheet Signed. It's automatically attaching my file from Notability. You can see right there under your work, it's all set. And now when you go into Google Classroom and you select that assignment, you'll see at the bottom where you have your work, your course requirement sheet is already attached to the assignment. So all you now have to do is to finish by clicking Turn In, and now your teacher has your assignment turned in. Okay, remember that you want to make sure you always click Turn In, because if you don't, it will register as being a missing assignment. Now again, if you don't want to turn it directly into a Google Classroom assignment, the other option that you have is obviously to add it to your Google Drive. So again, like I had mentioned before, you would click the arrow in the top left-hand corner, you would click to your Google Drive, and you would put it in some sort of folder. And then when you actually go to your classroom assignment, I have to unsubmit for just a second. What you'll do is you'll click Add Attachment, and then you can choose it either right from one of these PDFs, new sheets, use your camera, or you can again even just then pull it straight from your Google Drive. And then finally, one more time, remember to make sure that you click Turn In to make sure that you've actually turned in your assignment, or it will not register that you turned in. It will be marked as missing. Please feel free to experiment with the other apps that are on your screen. I'm sure that your teachers will have specific apps that they're going to use more than others, and they'll be going over those in your class once the school year begins.